Welcome to Like-Minded with Dr. Patrice. Each episode, we'll sit down with different types of experts and unpack the role of mental health in our day-to-day lives. In this episode, Dr. Tara joins us to explore the cultural and psychological factors that shape our sexual self-esteem, why so many people settle for mediocre sex, and how communication can unlock deeper intimacy. From unpacking the latest research to introducing her interactive sexual profile quiz, she shares bold insights and practical tools for reclaiming erotic agency. Dr. Tara is a tenured professor at California State University, Fullerton, an award-winning researcher, TV Sexpert on celebs go dating, columnist with her Women's Health magazine column, Sexpert with Dr. Tara, and the host of Love Bites podcast, which focuses on sexual wellness and sexploration. She's also the new co-host of Loveline, the iconic radio show. With over 60 million social media engagements, Dr. Tara is one of the most influential sex and relationship experts among millennials and Gen Z. Welcome, Dr. Tara. So your journey to becoming a sexpert is really both personal and powerful. Can you share how your life experiences shaped your mission to normalize these conversations about sex?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Thailand, and I grew up in a very sexually repressive environment. And there is this stereotype, especially through Hollywood movies, that like Thailand's so sexually liberal,
Yes.
right? From movies like Hangover or other TV shows.
So true.
When in fact, that sexual like liberalism it only applies to foreigners, like for people that are visiting. We call it like sex tourism.
Okay.
It's literally like a big part of our GDP.
Yes.
Which is, unfortunate. But at the same time, that's the stereotype that people have about Thailand. When that couldn't be further from the truth. The truth is, if you grow up in Thailand, Thailand is very sexually repressive, especially or particularly for women.
Okay, tell me about
girls.
that. Yeah.
Because Thailand is majority a Buddhist country. And in Buddhism, it's all about like modesty, and especially for women, we have to be careful when we go to temples. We have to cover ourselves. We can't touch monks. Like it's temptation. So like we can't even touch their hand. So if you go to a temple to give an offering, you will see a monk extending a piece of cloth. You then put that offering on the cloth. He will then pull the cloth to him so that he doesn't accidentally touch you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there's a lot of that like messages. They're micro messages, subliminal messages.
Yes.
But then, as a girl, you start to think like, why? Like, is it bad to be a girl? Am I that much of a temptation?
Right. I'm so curious about the kind of messages once you realize this, like the kind of messages that you've absorbed about yourself, and about who you are as a woman.
On top of that, I also went to an all-girls Catholic school.
Oh. So you got from a lot of different directions.
Yeah, through like from K and then first grade until 8th grade.
Yeah.
I went to an all-girls Catholic school. So there were a lot of also Catholicism, like messages around women and around being modest and covering yourself and not being sexual and not being open-minded about sexuality, don't speak up about your desires or what you're interested in, right? So that's where I come from.
Yeah. It's funny, as you're saying that, because I mostly went to religious schools growing up too, including Catholic school, Episcopalian school, Christian school. And I don't know if this is was your experience, but I feel like so much of the messaging and also so much of like the work was put on the women. Like, you don't be tempting,
right?
Versus telling like the guys, don't do that. Like if someone's not interested in you, like leave them alone. A lot of the pressure and a lot of the responsibility has been put on women. Like, have you found that to be true in your experience too?
100%. Like that has been my experience growing up. And my parents have never ever talked about sex to me, like ever since I turned 13 and I started having sort of, sexual exploration with other girls because I went to an all-girls school. So I thought I was a lesbian. They never had any kind of conversation. My bigger sister, who's 5 years older than me, also never talked to me about it. So I really didn't get any sex positive or sex education messages from anywhere, not my school either. So I learned everything from the internet. And back then it was like the dial-up, internet. But I was also searching for porn.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do when you're 13 and no one talks to you about it and you're confused. And you have all these feelings and hormones. So that's like where I come from. But then my first pivotal moment was when I went to high school in Finland.
Well, that's a big change. Okay, how did that come about?
Change.
How did you
My
going to Finland
parents
from
just
Thailand?
wanted to send me abroad for school because I was quite a bit of a bratty child, if you can't tell. I was a bit of a bratty child, so they were like, oh, we're going to send you away, far away. But I went to a co-ed school, so boys and girls, in Finland. First time seeing boys up close. Yeah, at 15. First time seeing boys up close. And also first time seeing boys naked because in Finland and in Scandinavia in general, you go into saunas naked.
Yeah.
Like it's completely normalized.
Yeah.
Not
no
weird
one thinks
at all.
anything about it.
No. Bodies are not sexualized.
Wait, for
there.
you, this is such like a drastic departure, right? What do you remember how you felt when you were first were like, okay, everyone's doing this, it's normal, like we don't need to talk about it, like nothing to,
No,
to be
I was
worried
the
about.
girl that had like a towel on her. I was like the weirdo that was like thinking it's sexualized, but it's not. No one at all cared.
Yeah.
No one cared. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful because it's liberating. Your body isn't something to be ashamed of, to be covered because then you trigger feelings in other people, No, like everyone's responsible for their own bodies and how they approach others. And bodies are just bodies.
Yeah.
Bodies function for you to live a great life. It's not there to be sexualized. So that was my first pivotal moment of like, wow, so nudity is fine. Like it's okay.
And our bodies are fine.
Don't be ashamed. You don't have to cover up because you're going to tempt someone.
Yes.
It's fine. So that was a really cool experience. Then I came to the United States to pursue higher education. When I first came to the United States, I came to live in LA.
Okay.
And LA, to me, is one of the most sexually liberated places ever. Like LA, New York, London, Berlin, to me, it's kind of in the same playing field. And for me, that was my first time seeing the liberation, seeing a sex shop. We don't have a sex shop in Thailand.
Okay, and I
Like
know
a sex
that
toy shop.
if you tell people that, like what we were talking about earlier, is that idea that people have in their heads, and then what you're like, that's a myth. That's a myth set up for foreigners when they come to visit. It's not the reality.
Right.
And then contrasting that with what you see in Los Angeles, where you're right, most neighborhoods probably have, I can think of several that I probably pass by every day, without really
Pleasure
thinking about it.
Chest or Hustler or like there are a few other ones.
Yeah.
But there are quite a few and they're not like seedy looking.
Yeah.
Actually, there was one of them, I don't know the name, but it's like huge and it's beautiful. It's kind of like an Apple store.
Yeah. I think you're talking about, I think it's probably the Hustler store in West Hollywood.
Yeah,
that
I don't remember the name, but like it's nice.
Yeah.
So that to me was like, oh wow, like vibrators and dildos are just out and about.
Yeah.
And that really triggered my personal sexual exploration and my personal journey of feeling less ashamed of my own sexual interests.
Yes.
But academically, during this time in my master's program, actually, I was studying human communication and romantic relationships. Actually, my very first academic paper that was published in a peer-reviewed journal was on effective strategies for long-distance relationships.
Oh, that's interesting. What made you want to study that?
I was in a long-distance relationship. I think a lot of social scientists end up studying what they're not good at.
Yeah.
So I was studying that, but then upon researching and reading through a lot of literature and research, I realized that the number one most universal issue that people experience around the world in relationships, in long-term relationships, regardless of their racial background, how much money they make, what religion they are, who they voted for, regardless of all of that, the number one universal issue is a sex issue.
Interesting.
Doesn't matter where you are. My mom in Thailand and, my dentist in Manhattan Beach both can have the same sex issue.
Yes.
And to me, that was my professional light bulb moment of like, wow, I want to be a part of a solution to such a big universal problem. And that was when I sort of started that path of studying more of that. I then finished my PhD, got my dream job as a professor at Cal State Fullerton, and have been at Cal State Fullerton for the last 9 years.
Yes.
Teaching sexual communication.
Yes, which as I think, we'd probably all guess is, I'm sure, a very popular class.
It's a very full class. But I do want to share, it's not always butterflies and rainbows for someone like me or like someone that's in my career. When I first became a professor, I was in my 20s, and I did school really well, and I did them fast, right? So in my 20s, I was already a professor, so life is looking good. The only thing was I wasn't married, and in my culture, you get married young. Like you get married before you turn 30.
Do you feel like that was also personally important to you, or was it like more of like cultural importance to you? What do you think? What do you think was driving that desire?
At the time, I couldn't distinguish between personal preference and cultural pressure. So I just thought that's what I wanted.
Okay.
But now I know it's from cultural pressure. So then I got on Tinder, matched with this guy. He's amazing. Married the first guy I matched with on Tinder.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, he was perfect on paper. Like, he had everything. He was tall, handsome, loves Thailand, loves Buddhism, was someone who is very caring and just someone who would be a good husband and a good father. And that's what I thought at the time was the most important. I completely neglected chemistry. Did not care about chemistry at all. I'm like, oh, he checked all the boxes. We did not have chemistry, but it's okay. Because that's also what my mom taught me.
Say more.
Like, here's the requirement. Like there's a list of requirements. And if he meets like 80% on that list, you marry the guy because you can just build that connection. Well, that's her thing.
That's so interesting because I do think, ideally in relationships, you do build more of a connection as you go on, right? That gets stronger. Chemistry, though, I feel is different. I mean, it's something that's so much more personal, right? Like other people are like, I don't see what, you see in that person, but you two have chemistry, right? And I don't know if you can build chemistry. You tell us. I'm like, what happened?
No, you cannot. So there's chemistry and connection are two very different concepts.
Yes.
You want both in a relationship. Now, can you have chemistry without connection? Yes, you can, but that's not a long-term relationship.
That's a for now.
Yeah, that's a fun short-term fling or a holiday boyfriend.
Yes.
But can you have connection without chemistry? Yes, you can. However, you are missing that passion piece that not everybody needs. I needed it, but I didn't think I did. Like I didn't think that I needed it that much. So what I did was I married him. We had a beautiful marriage for 3 years. But about a year and a half in, I knew that I couldn't be with this person because we just had no chemistry.
Yeah, what were the signs? And especially it's so interesting, you studying connection and like romantic relationships and everything. How did you know that this was not going to be enough for you?
Through my studies and what I teach. And imagine the shame that I was feeling as well. Because I, in class, was talking about, and
you're the expert.
Yeah, the expert. Like, sexual connection versus chemistry, evolution, talk about like the psychology of a sexual communication and how that predicts like long-term sexual satisfaction. I was talking all kinds of things. I wasn't walking the walk. I was just talking the talk. And that creates a lot of shame. So during that time, I realized a few signs. And this is also in research. Like the first one is you literally have a visceral feeling of discomfort. Like before you come home, you're like
dread?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, but why? He's perfect.
Oh gosh.
He literally, he had everything and he took good care of me. So like, why?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then my body, my
was
visceral
telling you,
senses was like, That's the first sign. The second sign is I just wasn't that interested in exploring further into sexuality with him. It's really hard to sexually explore with someone you have no chemistry with.
Yes.
Because you're just like, oh, let's just do the bare minimum to connect. Let's just,
To be done, yes.
Yeah, like 5-minute missionary. Like I'm good with that, just to keep us connected.
Yeah.
But I wasn't that interested in exploring, even though personally I'm very interested in exploring. I was like looking into all kinds of things, but he wasn't someone that I wanted to try these things with.
Got it.
And these are two big signs.
Yes.
And then lastly, I just started feeling like I didn't want to bring him anywhere to hang out with my friends or my family. Like I just wanted to go do my own thing. Not a good sign.
No, it's not.
No.
It's really not. But you're saying that also comes up in research, and I know you've done a lot of research. Tell me where this has come up in some of the research that you've done.
Yeah. So when you look into couples who reported the highest level of sexual satisfaction and relationship satisfaction, you find that they have rated their chemistry level from when they met up until now at least like 6 and above.
Okay.
So if we're talking like 0 to 10, they're rating it 6 and above.
Yeah.
So usually 7 and above when they met. And then now in long-term relationships, they're rating it minimally at 6.
Okay.
I would have rated mine at like 3.
Ugh.
No
The whole
chemistry.
relationship.
Yeah. Connection was there because we were good friends.
Yes.
Good roommates. But no chemistry. So we got a divorce, and then now I'm with my husband. We talk about everything. We have an amazing sex life. We explore sexually in very kinky manner, which I like. That's who I am. And that's what he likes as well. So I call that was like a trial marriage. My second marriage is like a more solid marriage.
This is the one we're doing, yes.
I'm who I am.
Yes.
And I communicate all my expectations up front.
Well, and I think that's so important too, that you are your authentic self. Like when you see yourself not bringing everything who you are into a relationship, that's another like big sign, right? That it's like,
exhausting.
I would, but I don't want to with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not a good feeling at all, especially for the person that's inflicting that on someone. And I'm sure for my ex-husband, it wasn't fair.
Yeah.
Like I'm so glad that we got the divorce. Like I'm now thinking like it was such a huge blessing that we didn't go through it any longer.
Yes.
That was just 3 years.
Yes.
And now we live, different lives, very different lives now. He moved to Thailand.
No. Did he really?
That's how much he loves Thai women, baby.
Wow. He's got a type.
He moved to Thailand and opened a spa.
Tara, that's funny.
Yeah.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I found him on Google Maps.
Oh my gosh.
My friend was like, dude, did you see this spa? It looks incredible. I looked at the spa on Google Map and it was like literally 10 minutes from where I live.
Well, I guess he's living his authentic life too.
Yeah, and I was looking at it. His picture was on there and he's like the founder. And I'm like,
gosh,
what?
That is so funny.
It's hilarious.
Okay, so you used the word shame a couple of times. And so, you said that part of the reason that you got married is because that's what you do. You get married at a young age. So I guess I'm thinking about it like from both sides, right? Shame like kind of sparking your desire to get married, but then I wonder if it also made you stay in the relationship for a little bit longer than you would have, because culturally this is what you should be doing. This guy's good on paper, and also here you are, you're an expert on romantic relationships. Like, how did all those things play a role in you kind of maybe staying in a relationship that wasn't a good fit?
If I wasn't a professor or a relationship expert, and if I wasn't from my culture, I would have left after a year, because that was enough exploration for me to understand internally that this is not working. But because of all those external pressures, I stayed longer and really tried.
Yes.
Like really tried finding different activities to do to like see if we can deepen this connection and the bond, and I just couldn't.
Yeah.
So I know that there are women around the world that are feeling this in this moment. It is better on the other side. It really is. And, when I went on the first date with my now husband, I was a completely different person because I've gone through that divorce. I worked on myself rigorously to feel the confidence to just be myself and not get succumbed to like societal pressures and the things people tell me to do.
Yes.
So at that point, I was like, oh yeah, like I'm feeling myself. I'm telling him everything that I'm looking for, and like here are my expectations and this is who I am. So on the first date, I told him 2 of the hardest things that research found for people to talk about.
Okay.
So research found 2 hardest things to talk about in a romantic relationship is sex and money.
Yes. So what did you say? What were the things that you knew you wanted to communicate to see if this person was going to be a good fit for you?
So I first off said, I'm a very sexually liberal person. I love sexually exploring. And I'm also an ethical non-monogamous person. So I'm looking to be in a non-monogamous relationship where we have a very respectful, loving, passionate relationship, but at the same time also respect each other's explorations outside the relationship or marriage if we end up getting married. And he's like, cool.
Really?
Yeah. He was like, I've never been in one, but that sounds cool.
Okay.
Like that sounds like something I would want to try to do.
Yes.
So that was the first thing.
Huge
so
green
we talked
flag.
about huge because the compatibility is hard to find, right? In the world where like only about 10% of people are polyamorous or non-monogamous, it's hard. The second thing was money. I said, I grew up in Thailand, in my culture, in my family where my dad's a provider and he paid for everything. Even though my mom was a CFO of a company, her money is her money, his money is their money.
Oh, interesting.
And that's the sort of setup that I'm looking for. He's like, sounds good. That's how I grew up as well. My dad was the provider of the family and, put money on the table and my mom took care of the family. So I'm cool with that.
Right.
That's it. That was it. And like, afterwards, other conversations were easy because I got the 2 hard things out of the way.
It's so interesting, like thinking about, I think we all know that sex and money plays such a major role in relationships, but I think we also hesitate to talk about it because I don't know if you've seen this in your research as well, or just like in conversations you have with people. But I think that there is an expectation, like we like each other, so all these things will fall into place.
Right.
It's like no, actually they won't, because we all grew up differently. We all have different expectations, and if they're not communicated, we're going to end up in a lot of trouble. Like, do you see that as well? That people want to shy away from those topics?
Totally. In my research and also in my classroom, I asked students like, how many of you are dating? They raise their hands and about 70% of people are dating. I'm like, how many of you have talked about money expectations in your relationship? No one.
No one.
No one, especially college students. Like they don't know how to bring it up, And I'm like, well, then when you go on a date, who pays? They're like, well, we're just kind of like,
fumble around with
we both like try to pull something out. I'm like, that's the thing. It's like it doesn't have to be like that, if we give people like a framework on how to talk about it. And sex too, like none of them have talked about sexual expectations or things they want to try or what they like in bed. A lot of people don't know what they like in bed. They don't have the language or terminology for it. So that's why like I love teaching my classes, because like after my class, everyone's always like, oh my God, thank you so much. Like this is like a life skills building class, not just like,
It's not just logistics.
No,
like,
yeah.
But and I'm really glad that you're explaining that, because I think that is different than probably what a lot of people experience. Like we were talking that you might have a sex ed class, but it's not going to give you the communication part of it that's so important. In relationships, really, it's like, and you also get a lot of information from someone when you share these things, and by their reaction, by how open they are, but it gives you so much information, and maybe that's also why people shy away from it, because if this person looks great, they don't want to bring up a topic that might, make them like back off a little bit.
Yeah, it's true. And in research, we found that people like maintaining their positive face, and a positive face is an image that is perceived by the receiver.
Yes.
So I would be afraid to bring up, for example, if it's a new relationship, I might be afraid to bring up like, oh, so like if we move in together, who pays rent?
Right.
Or do you want to sexually explore with a third person? Like, because ultimately you always want to be perceived positively.
Yes.
That's like all we want as humans, right? Everywhere we go, we want to be perceived positively at work, at school, in our family, in our dating life with friends. We want to be known and perceived positively. Now, these conversations could jeopardize that status.
Yes.
And that's why it's so hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But that's why when I go to places, I just say the weirdest thing first. Get it out of the way.
Well, and probably, your experience having a relationship that wasn't a good fit was like, okay, I'm not going to waste any more time.
Yeah.
If you are turned off or put off by these things that I'm going to share, then we're probably not the right people for each other, you know? And it's at least knowing that right away. But I think that is probably a difficult thing to do when you're younger and you have less experience, you know?
But also for older people.
Oh, let's talk about that. What are you seeing with older people?
So in my research, people that are 45 and above have strong or high level of sexual communication apprehension, which is anxiety around bringing up sex topics. And that's because when you're older, your relationship scripts have already been cemented.
Yes.
Like what you do in your relationship, things you talk about in your relationship, you know, your routines and your habits, like it's already cemented. Bringing up something new is even harder than someone who's 21-year-old because you've done, you know, 15 years, 20 years of marriage or relationship and you've done the same things. So now you want to try to shake things up and bring up, hey, do you want to try that sex party in the Hollywood Hills? What? You know, so that's why, people above 45 and above score even higher in sexual communication apprehension.
Well, and I think, you know, I've seen this with clients, you know, maybe like who've gotten a divorce and are now back out dating again. Like they don't know what they're doing. And they feel like they probably should because they've been in a relationship, right? But things have changed, times have changed, and maybe they've changed also, you know? And so I think that when you're in a relationship versus when you're looking at starting a new relationship, like the pressures are probably similar, you know?
So one of my services is online dating for divorcees. So what I do is I'm actually on dating apps for them, as them.
Ah, amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that. What do you see? Why do you think people need someone else to get out there and do that for them? Like, what do people tell you they're having trouble navigating themselves? And like, what do you learn about people by kind of acting as them, you know, in dating sites?
So first reason is logistical reasons, like they have no time because usually these women are like, you know, women that have like a very busy career. They have no time. And even when they have time, they want to spend like going to Pilates, hanging out with their friends, going to sip and paint. Like, you know, they don't want to be sitting, you know, at home looking at an app and swiping through like a bunch of, you know, ineligible men. So that's where I come in. But then the other more, I think, psychological reason is they get this feeling of like, well, you know, now I'm in my late 40s or early 50s, you know, my life is set, right? I have my career, I have my house, my car, my children are a little bit more grown. But this part of my life has been, quote unquote, a failure. And I think confronting that psychologically is really hard. And when you're trying to match with people that you don't get matched back, that keeps like, it's basically paper cuts and it keeps reducing your self-esteem. And I think they just don't want to expose themselves to something like that versus like, oh, I'm just going to outsource it to someone. Once there is an eligible man who's going to take me on a date, I'm down. So that's what I do is I take the paper cuts.
It's so interesting.
And then take the paper cuts out of the equation, talk to a bunch of guys. And then once there's an eligible one, I then schedule a FaceTime call with the actual person, my client, send her all the screenshots of the things that we talked about so she can study before their FaceTime. Then they FaceTime and see if he, where he wants to take her on a date and he will organize the date because I've already said like all those things in the text.
Well, and I think that you're touching on something that we probably don't give as much weight to as we need to, that decreasing of, you know, self-esteem as you're getting, you know, rejections, even if it's not a personal rejection.
It's like tiny.
You know, but if you're
it's
already,
a lot.
Right, and if you're already vulnerable, you know, and kind of hesitant about putting yourself out there anyway, it's so interesting how you kind of take that on for them. But I also imagine that you probably require them to ask different questions of themselves. Like, what's really important to you in a partner? Like now, if you've been in a relationship that didn't work out, what did you learn about yourself? That if you just go on the app yourself, maybe they're not doing that extra work that you're probably asking of them to do.
Yeah, exactly. My intake questionnaire is like 2 hours.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because I need to know everything about this person. And then also you as a person and your preferences and why. And then what are like some, you know, loose boundaries? What are some hard boundaries? Right. Because I recently matched this woman. She's a very successful woman. She used to work for a large like oil and gas company and now she's retired. Her kids are out of the house. She's divorced. And she's 55 and she's like, yeah, like I don't even know where to start. You know, I want to go on a date, but like where do I start? What do I do? So then I signed her up on like 2 dating apps that are for older people.
Okay.
And I started just like talking to people. But then she used to say like, she prefers either like Asian men or white men. But then, I like match with everybody because I just want to keep my options open as like a matchmaker. So I matched with this like amazing black guy who owns a bunch of parking lots.
Interesting.
Very lucrative business. Yeah. He's successful. His kids are out of the house. He plays tennis. She plays tennis. I'm like, there's like, why were you, So sometimes I push that boundary a little bit. Then, okay, I sent his profile to her. I said, hey, he's looking to take you on a date, so let's FaceTime him tomorrow. Okay. And she looks at him, she's like, oh, wow, he's cute. I'm like, see? Like you weren't even gonna try that from the first place. But then I showed you the conversation. You're like, oh, wow, he's a leader. Like he's good at initiating conversation. He has banter. So like now you're attracted to him. From the work that I've just done for you.
But like the way you're describing that, Tara, you're like, kind of a barrier to like a lot of the pain, but then also like a window into something that maybe people wouldn't have chosen for themselves. And it's such a unique, opportunity that you're giving people. Like maybe this is not who, as we were talking about earlier, looked good on paper to you, but for all these reasons, based on how well now like your clients and you're getting to know these people, you can see where there would be a connection.
Well, and guess what?
Did they get married?
They're dating now. Well, they're not married. I don't think any of them are looking to get married, but they're dating now.
Yeah, companions.
Like,
wow.
That was it.
And you're right, and they probably never would have matched otherwise.
Yeah, or like if she had that filter, her conversation texting him wouldn't be the same. Like I was flirting with him.
Ah, that's so interesting.
Yeah, because I was flirting with everyone on that app.
Okay, I'm so curious about this. Do you advise people one way or another to say like, hey, I actually had someone who was doing this for me? Never.
Yeah.
They never. Okay.
No. So that's why I don't use names.
That's good.
But no. Because ultimately, even when I talk to them, I try to mimic.
Yes, you're not going on as yourself.
Personality. Yeah, no, I'm not me. Like I'm not saying all weird shit that I would say as a person. Ask me like no. I try to be her, and it's fun for me. I love role play in my sex life, so this is actually really fun.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah,
well, I'm also thinking about like all of the different kind of like lives you've lived. From like growing up in Thailand, living in Finland. Coming to like so you. I imagine.
And now I'm a 55-year-old divorcee.
Yes, but it's probably easier for you than a lot of people to kind of become like a chameleon, in that way where you're being authentic, but you're not being yourself.
That's a really great observation.
Yeah,
I never thought about that before, but I would think so. Yeah, because I've lived everywhere and tried to be so many different people.
Yes.
And now that I'm myself all the time, it's kind of fun to not be myself sometimes.
Right? You're like an actor, playing all these different roles.
Yeah, although I wouldn't be a good actor. Texting though, I'm really good at texting. And that's why I love talking about sexting as well.
Yes. Okay, let's talk about sexting.
Do you sext now?
I do.
Ooh, spicy mama.
Not all the time, but yes, occasionally
Would you say, if you self-rate, would you say from level 1 to 10, how spicy is your sexting?
Okay, I'm going to tell you something funny because I actually did a presentation on sexting in graduate school, and I was talking to some of my girlfriends, and they were like, the problem with your sexting is like it's very like romantic and like long-winded, and it's not like it's not just like it doesn't like get to the point. And I was like, but I think it works for me, and like obviously works for my husband. It's fine, we're more like context kind of building people, But yeah, I'm like I like doing it. It's just I think everyone has like their different styles of it. Yeah.
Would you say that you prefer the intensity to be kind of like taboo and almost like derogatory, or do you feel like you like the more of like passion, loving,
more passion, romance, for sure, yes. Which I think is why my friends were like thumbs down.
Like they're like, it's not that spicy. Like,
totally.
This is like salt and pepper. This is not Thai
not
chili.
All the other seasonings.
Yeah. But yeah. I love sexting. I think sexting and dirty talk are very underrated human communication skills that can actually improve your romantic connection like tenfold.
Really?
It's minor investment to me when you look at the ROI that you get.
Yeah.
Because texting. I mean, you have your phone.
Yeah.
You know,
all the time.
You just have to look at some examples and then just try. Or use ChatGPT.
Yeah. Well, what are the barriers that people have, you know, to sexting or to doing some of the things that you suggest? What do you see? What do people like, I don't know if that's for me?
The two main barriers I've seen in research and also the people that I've helped is the first one is they are afraid that the partner wouldn't receive it well. So poor reception. And then secondly, they just simply don't know what to say.
Yeah.
You know,
that's why you said ChatGPT. It's right there.
When I say use ChatGPT or look online, they're just like, yeah, but then I'm overwhelmed because if I search dirty talk or sexting, then there's so many things that come out that I don't know which one suits me. I don't know which one he'll like. Yeah. Like, it's just overwhelming.
Yeah.
I simplify it so much into just 3 simple categories. Both in sexting and dirty talk. Like in sexting, you can think of these categories as the first one is anticipation. So you can text, for example, things like, can't wait for you to see what I'm wearing tonight. That's the mild one, right? Or you can say a spicy one, you know. Tonight, I'm getting on my knees and putting my hair in a ponytail. Spicy, very spicy. But at the same time, it's not derogatory because there are derogatory terms like, you know, slut or whore. But, you know, you can do spicy in a way that, you know, he'll be like, whoa.
Yeah.
Right? Like, imagine if that's not in your relationship scripts and one day you just text him that, right? Like, tonight I'm getting on my knees and putting my hair in a ponytail. We'll be like, whoa, what? It just gives this sense of renewal and butterflies that maybe has been missing for a while. So the first one is anticipation. The second one is recall.
Okay.
So maybe recalling last time, or if last time wasn't that hot,
then
the time before, or maybe last year or 2 years ago. But recalling,
or when you first started dating, maybe you know, maybe that kind of thing.
You know, remember when we were in Cancun and what you did to me, you know, on the balcony?
Yeah.
Like recalling things and texting them that. This last category can be very, very spicy. So just kind of use it at your own pace. But this last category is sending a voice note.
Okay.
And you can send a voice note of things that are softer and more sweet and sexy, kind of you know, tonight it's all about us, or just got a new lingerie for you, and in a sexy voice and a voice note. Because audibly, it has a different reaction to visibly.
Interesting.
Visual and audible, different. So the voice note can be that, sweet and sexy. It can also be very spicy, where you might engage in self-pleasure and record yourself, your audible, not the video, record your audible of yourself orgasming. Just, and then whenever you come. And then just send that 15-second audio to your partner. That's very spicy.
You know, I definitely think, and I'm sure probably a lot of people watching or listening would think that the picture would be the thing. That would be, and so you're telling us that's not it. It's really the auditory.
The mind.
Okay.
Yeah. You want to stimulate the mind. Visually, you know, you can always send a sexy picture and get them excited. But at the same time, I think when you sext them through words, it allows for their imagination to go, oh, what's going to happen?
Yes.
Or send something audible, like an audio clip. It's also ooh, I am now so turned on. I want to see it for myself.
Yeah. It's much more personal too, I imagine, you know, than probably, you know, especially I think in a culture where probably a lot of people are exposed to porn and that kind of thing, that you know, this is your partner
just
doing
so
this.
Graphic.
Yeah.
And most women, there's research on this too. Yes. And I don't know why there's research on this, but there's research on this. Most women don't like dick pics. Most women just don't like receiving just the dick pic without messages or gifts. I know. You know? At least send me jewelry before you send me a dick pic, you know?
I think that is so accurate. You know, I've been married for a while, and I have a lot of friends who were single when I first got married. And so we'd be on the apps together, they're like, oh, look, this is the person, that I'm thinking of. And they would get like dick pics. They're just like, this is not attractive to me at all. Like, I don't even know or like this person yet. And this is not the way to start off the relationship. So, I mean, anecdotally, I've definitely like seen that that's true, that it's not the thing.
No, but then men are visuals. Men are visual people and they do love seeing things. So sending a sexy pic once a while, I think is great. But ultimately, I think exercising the brain is better through texting and audio clips.
Yeah, I think so. We've been talking about your research, and there was some research published not long ago, the Wall Street Journal article saying that a 2024 study said that only 37% of Americans ages 18 to 64 have sex at least once a week. And that a quarter of young adults reported not having sex at all in the past year. So like, how do you understand kind of this like drought of intimacy that a lot of Americans seem to be in?
I think most studies measure sex as penetrative sex. They don't measure other sexual activities that can also bring pleasure and connection.
Okay.
So I think those numbers are lower than what they actually are in real life if you include all sexual activities. If you include, let's say, masturbating together or oral or hand job or sexual meditation or attending a sex party or whatever. If you include all kinds of things, I think those numbers are higher.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It's just most surveys see sex as penetration.
What do you think that says about us as a society? That we're
It's
such
that
a
we're
limited
so
view.
limiting. Yeah, we're so limiting on ourselves, which is actually not a good perspective, not a good lens to hold on to. Actually, a more expansive and pleasure-filled perspective to hold is that all sexual activities count because all sexual activities contribute to your connection and chemistry with your partner.
Yes.
Even watching them masturbate can bring that like closeness and bonding to the couple because it's so taboo, right? To like sit and watch your partner do something like that. But then again, it's kind of hot. If you're not feeling it in terms of penetration today, but you want your partner to get it, you can either, manually stimulate them, give them a hand job, or have them do it and watch. Like that's a cool new activity for you to try. It's just that these surveys tend to only measure penetration. However, it is true by trend that people are having less sex now as compared than before. And for the first statistic of like very few people have sex once a week and most people don't, I want to compare that to also research that found couples who have sex at least once a week reported the highest level of sexual satisfaction and relationship satisfaction.
Interesting.
So when people ask like, how often should we have sex? I always say it's quality over quantity. So I don't want to tell you a number, but if you really want to know, research found once a week at least. Because it's just to keep that physical touch, love language intact and being together.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But if you find that sexual connection through other activities, you don't have to have penetrative sex. Some of my clients love like tantra and tantric sex philosophy. They will like be naked, sit on each other and meditate for like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
That's connecting.
It really opens up the scope of how you can connect. And it does, like, as you said, if you're like, okay, I'm not really like doing this, is not then, okay, now it's a no and we're not going to connect now. There's other ways that people can do that. Your book, your new book, How Do You Like It? A Guide for Getting What You Want in Bed. I think it doesn't just offer new perspectives, but also you have interactive tools and you have your sexual profile quiz. Tell me what kind of questions you have people ask of themselves.
Yeah, so the sexual profile quiz was created similarly to like the Myers-Briggs personality test. So this is your like sex personality test. And it has 4 dimensions. The first dimension is how dynamic are you? The second dimension is how kinky are you? The third dimension is how monogamous are you? And then the fourth dimension is how animalistic are you? And once you take the quiz and you get the scores and you know where you score in each dimension, you will then understand who you are sexually, your preferences, and how you express yourself in bed, as well as how you like your partner to express themselves in bed, like what you find hot. And I find that doing this is so important because after talking to, thousands of people about their sex lives, most people don't have the terminology to explain what they're into. That's all. Yeah. Once you have the language, you feel more confident to engage in the communication. You hear people all the time, like sex experts or sex therapists will tell you, communication is lubrication. Like communication is the most important thing. But then there is a prerequisite to being able to communicate, and that a lot of people don't talk about. You can't just tell people to communicate. Like if I look at a stranger and go, have you guys talked about sex? You should. Like, duh, they know. But they're not doing it because they lack the prerequisites. Understanding who they are sexually, what they like, and have the language to then formulate sentences to tell their partner. So for me, this book goes way further back. It's the foundation of understanding your own sexual preferences. Then you'll have the language to then talk to your partner.
Yes, and I wonder if you see people trying to fit their current relationship into, a box, right? So if you're filling out a profile, it's supposed to be about you and what you like. I imagine that it's hard for people to not think about that in the context of who they're with and the relationship that they're,
and wanting to be desirable.
Yes. So how do you get people to be more genuine in answering those kinds of questions, and to be more honest with themselves when they're like, well, I'm happy in this relationship. I know this is what that person likes, so I guess I like that too. How do you get people kind of out of that trap of communicating that way?
I can only tell them, listen, if you are responding to these questions based on being more desirable and not authentically who you are doing yourself a disservice. You're not honoring yourself. And that's a loop you don't want to get in.
Yes.
Because every day when you wake up and you carry yourself, out in the world, you want to honor who you are in every aspect of life. At work, you want to voice your opinion, what you think will be effective in this matter, and not just sit down quietly and let other people dictate what to do. Same thing with your sex life.
Yes.
If you don't provide honesty in your answers, you are doing yourself a disservice, and it will negatively affect your connection in the future.
Yes.
If you love your partner, you want to keep the relationship long term, you want to be as honest as possible in this quiz.
Yes.
And I say all of those disclaimers in the book, and talking about also what happens when my profile and my partner's profile.
Right. Yes. Tell me, because I'm sure that happens a lot. If you have not been, either you haven't had the terminology or you haven't had the comfort level to be honest for so long. I imagine that we are both taking this quiz and now we're being honest, and maybe there's a disconnect. What do you recommend for people if they find themselves in that situation?
I immediately talk about the fact that if you have different profiles, your relationship's not doomed. You're not doomed.
Yeah.
That's why the next, section of my book is on communication. It's basically everything is solvable through communication, except for if you don't have chemistry. That's a different scenario.
Yes, that is different.
But if you have a passionate, relationship with chemistry, you just don't necessarily love the same things in bed.
Yeah.
I provide communication frameworks to then talk about the differences and how to find a solution that works for both of you. And I call them erotic solutions.
Okay.
And for example, an erotic solution can be, this is a scenario that I've worked with my client before, where one partner is really interested in exploring a threesome, involving someone else in their sexual repertoire, not to date them, but just to explore a threesome. And the other partner's like, oh no, absolutely not. I can't do that. It will bring up, it will trigger so many things and will bring up so many negative feelings. I just can't do that. So then an erotic solution would then be, well, let's talk about what are some ways to involve this feeling of other people into the relationship. And some of the solutions can be like, one is role play. What if, you go sit at a bar and you pretend to be someone else. Your spouse approaches you and try to take you back to the hotel room and have sex with you, but you are someone else. That's someone else. So that's role play, and it could be really fun. Another thing is, for example, involving porn as a couple. Watch it together. There's a third party, right? Like that's involving other sexual energy into the relationship. So there are solutions to everything. You just have to be open-minded enough to try them.
Yeah, and I think that's so important, just kind of removing that barrier that people have of like, we don't like the same things, so I don't even want to discuss them because we're not going to be able to have a solution. So you providing solutions that make people feel probably both validated but also safe enough to explore, I think is really important so people don't live in fear of kind of looking into those things that could really positively impact the relationship in so many ways.
When it comes to sexuality, a lot of people live in fear, even in their relationships. I recently worked with a couple where the wife's very concerned about her husband masturbating. And I asked her, well, how often do you masturbate? I was assuming like multiple times a day because she's so
not
concerned.
Going to work because you're
But no, he masturbates like 2-3 times a week.
Oh.
And so I tell her that, research found that actually even daily masturbation is healthy. It's healthy for his prostate. It's healthy for his heart. It's also healthy in keeping away sexual frustrations and focusing on you and the connection that you guys have. And she's like, oh, wow. Like, I didn't think about it that way. It's just like, why are you masturbating? Like, why are you getting off like without me? But then I go, well, then how often do you both engage in a sexual activity together? And she's like, maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. And I said, okay, so is that your preference? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, let's hear about him. What's your preference? He's like, I would love to have sex with her 4 times a week. So then there is a discrepancy. Can he engage in masturbation for this discrepancy in order to maintain, a healthy level of sexual well-being as well as a connection with you and paying attention to you more because now he's not sexually frustrated? Once we reframe everything, she was fine.
Yes.
So that's all it took. She's never had a vibrator. I also assigned her a new vibrator. And ever since then, she never complained. She's like, oh,
it's fine.
It's his turn, it's my turn. He goes to the bathroom, I go to the bedroom.
Yeah. I mean, what you're describing, and I think also, what I've seen in couples work is so many times we're making whatever is happening about us personally versus, here you're able to you guys have different needs. You have different preferences. And that's okay. How are you going to it's not even about a compromise, more as like
a
solution and understanding, and that doesn't mean that someone then has to have sex more than they want to, or the other person, has to go without. But like he's kind of sounded like he'd figured out his solution.
Exactly.
And he was happy. So,
And personally, I love when my husband masturbates regularly because I just feel like he's happier.
Yeah.
He's happier. His energy is better. He's more confident. I'm like, yeah.
Well, and I didn't know it was good for the prostate too. I mean, so you can make it a physical health
and the heart. Yeah. It's a physical health thing for sure.
Oh my God. So many guys are going to love to hear that.
That itself is a clip.
Yeah, it totally is. It's been amazing talking to you. I've learned so much, and I really love and appreciate how you've brought so many different parts of you into the work that you do, and to helping people be authentic and figuring out what their needs and their desires are. And it's been a really great conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
So if people want to find out what you are working on, learn more about your book, where can they find you?
You can go to my website. That's lovebites.co, LUVBITES.co. My Instagram is also lovebites.co.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
For more on what I'm doing, you can follow me on TikTok or Instagram at Dr. Patrice Lagoy. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please like and subscribe, and also would love to hear feedback or ideas for future shows. Thank you for listening.